Welcome to Isabella Lone Farms, located in Grant, Michigan. The farm can be split in half by a main road. On the right, you have the original homestead of the first generation farmer, and on the left, you have the homestead of the second generation farmer. The barn located at the second homestead has two feedlots, ideally for two different groups of cattle. It can hold anywhere between 300 and 400 head, depending on the size of the cattle. From this angle, you can get a better view of the shed as well as the barn. The shed can hold all of the equipment necessary to plant crops as well as harvest crops for this farm. On the side of the road with the original homestead, you can see that it is surrounded by three different pastures. The farmer uses these pastures to graze his herd of 30 beef cattle and calves periodically throughout the year. This is William Butchart, the new main operator of Isabella Lone Farms. He is the third generation farmer for this farm. He originally went to Hope College to play football, and he graduated with a construction management degree. He then married into this family farm, and when it was his turn to take over, he gave up his prior job of building houses and became a farmer. He had grown up working on this farm, so he was familiar with how to run this equipment, but a lot of the stuff he had to learn along the way by going to conferences or talking with other farmers in the area. Let's walk through a normal day in the boots of a beef farmer, starting with morning chores. This is the mixing room. William will bring over corn silage, minerals, and other things that he will mix later on to feed to the cattle. William will then start the tractor and get it warmed up before he begins mixing his feed. He will then go to the mixing room with the skid steer and get a bucket of dried corn. While he dumps the corn into the mixer wagon, you can see him look to the left at the scale for the mixer wagon. As he dumps, the pounds will increase until he gets to the necessary number that he needs to complete his ration. Once he has the desired amount of corn, he will then go get the corn silage or any other mineral that he needs and dump it in until he gets to the same desired amount that he requires for his ration. This is what the inside of the mixer wagon looks like. The PTO from the tractor runs the augers on the inside and makes it accessible to mix the feed. Once you are done mixing the ration, you can then go ahead and feed it to the cattle. In this video, you can see William in a skid steer dumping it into the feed bunk. He does this simply because the mixer wagon is too tall for the feed bunk. Usually, big time operators would drive through with the mixer wagon and dump it directly into the feed bunk. This is another example of a feed bunk that the mixer wagon cannot dump into. As you can see, in the middle of this feed bunk there is an auger that is attached to the silo. It used to be able to bring the food from the end of where the silo was all the way down to the other end to feed cattle on both sides, but now it is no longer being able to use. Once you have fed all of the cattle, you can then move over to your herd of cows and do a calf check. Sometimes, if you're lucky, there'll be a baby. Once you've completed all of those things, you can then go out and check the fields. Sometimes you check to make sure that your crops are looking good. Sometimes you check to see if you need to spray. And sometimes you check to see if the ground is too wet to work up or if you can spread manure or fertilizer. In the beginning of this video, you saw a lot of different things, opening your eyes to many different careers that can be within the beef industry. Things like a nutritionist, or a herd manager, or equipment operators. William's son will in fact be a freshman at MSU next year studying to be an animal nutritionist so that he can bring back some knowledge to the farm so that they can better excel into the beef industry. The first common issue with the beef industry is just like any issue in the animal industry. People think that animals aren't being treated fairly, and in some cases that may be true, but the best way to educate people is to become knowledgeable in that area yourself so that you can go out and better combat those questions and concerns of the public, of people who didn't grow up on family farms. Another common issue with the beef industry, like that of any farming industry, is that people aren't being properly educated on where their food comes from or how their food is made. So this leads to people often reading articles or seeing things on the news and then buying alternative things. In the beef industry, that would then be things like the Impossible Burger. So something that isn't actually a cow raised on a farm, it's meat created in a lab. And so the way that we can help close this education gap is to have people go out and create videos like this or interview other people so that everyone can have accessibility to a proper resource. The biggest piece of advice that William had for me was that if you're passionate about it, do it. Don't ever be afraid, especially in this industry, to ask for help because there's always somebody out there that's going to know more than you or going to be able to help you better or has been in that situation before so they know how to better handle that situation. Also, he didn't go to college for it, and it's something that he did regret doing and is now very passionate that his son is doing that. So don't ever doubt yourself and work hard and you'll go far.